A celebrity is someone who is celebrated. And the word celebrate means to perform publicly. Therefore, celebrities are those who perform publicly, and that's why they are celebrities. When we talk about those that have performed publicly the most, the ultimate celebrity is that Supreme Divine who has created this material manifestation. He is a poet. Poet comes from the word poeta, which means to make, create, or compose. And this world is a complete creation. And within this world, we have so many teachers that don't exactly come in human flesh that we can learn from. There's different gurus that we can acquire through nature, such as the moth, the bee, the elephant, the deer, and the fish. A moth becomes attracted by the glaring effulgence of fire, and the closer the moth gets to the fire, the closer it meets its death. In this way, we should act through research, act through knowledge and intelligence, rather than simply going based off our senses, or else we can also end up as the moth. A bee, its job is to produce pollen in flowers, and it goes from flower to flower transporting pollen. Pollen is a big factor to the sustainment of us. It's what produces all fruits and vegetables. Without the bee, we would be helpless. But if the bee spends too long of a time in one particular flower because of the aroma, and it just gets too captivated, then it has the potential of getting trapped in that flower as the flower closes itself during sunset. In the same way, if we become too stagnant in one location, in one place, then we have the chance of becoming too comfortable. And in the same way, we can be closed off to life and meet our potential death even while living. A deer becomes attracted by the sounds, the bells of the hunter. In the same way, we can be attracted by negative material vibrations, gossiping, controversy, low destructive frequencies of music. And in this way, we can also contaminate our consciousness. And the fish, because of its strong desire to enjoy his tongue, he goes for the worm, and the worm is on the hook. And in this way, if we don't have discrimination, then we, as humans, open up thousands of slaughterhouses and kill billions of animals every year. There needs to be discrimination in what food we eat. And at the same time, we should also learn how much we eat. They say that if we can't control our tongue, then we can't control any other sense. We have 5 senses, and if we can't control our taste, our tongue, then the other 4 senses will be impossible to control. But if we do control our tongue, then the other 4 senses are easily controllable. So these are the things that we can learn on the path of enlightenment. And sometimes great suffering leads one to the path of enlightenment. The example can even be given in the life of a prostitute. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavad Purana, an ancient yoga text, it is mentioned about a woman named Pingala who was a prostitute. And every night she would wait outside her house hoping that somebody would show up at midnight so then she can get money. And one night she was waiting and no one showed up. And she felt such dissatisfaction that she actually became detached from her position, and she actually felt disgusted at what she was doing. And like that, she progressed towards the path of enlightenment, that she was giving her body to all these men, but she has yet to give her body to God. And so that realization sparked her journey. Because if we think about this material body, it's known as parakyam, which means ultimately consumed by others. So if you're cremated, then you're consumed by fire. If you're buried, as most bodies are in America, then ultimately you'll be consumed by the insects. And if you happen to die on the streets, then you'll be consumed by the animals, the jackals, the wolves, the hawks. So we should try to see through the eyes of knowledge. There's actually two types of happy people in this world. Those are the complete fools and the enlightened ones. Those that are on the middle path, the middle class, you can say even, they're the ones who are in great anxiety. But the ones who are fools in this world, they're happy. And the ones who are enlightened, they're happy. But transcendental paradise versus a fool's paradise is comparing rocks and jewels. So although the fool is happy, he's not happy with much. I've seen homeless men rolling on the street in ecstasy, laughing, looking so happy, but just see their condition. So we should raise our knowledge and feel true happiness. And therefore, we must try to surround ourselves with good association. There's also a story mentioned in the Bhagavatam about a young girl who was desiring to get married. So a lot of men came to her home, and she was to select which one she wanted to marry. And then she went to the kitchen and began making preparations. So she began making rice, and she had a lot of bangles on her hands, and the bangles were making a lot of noise. And then she didn't want the men to know that she was the one making the rice, because she didn't want to give the impression off that they're this poor. So then she started removing the bangles, but still it was making noise. Finally there was 2 bangles left, and even that was making noise. And then as soon as she put one on each arm, the problem was solved. And the moral behind the story is that when many people live together, there's always going to be quarrel. There's always going to be disagreements. And even when 2 people live together, like most families, and like these 2 bangles, still there's going to be quarrel. But there's going to be no quarrel when you have a society of pure Vaishnavas, because they are on the real platform of desirelessness. A Vaishnava does not desire any personal sense gratification. He is simply acting. He or she is simply acting to give pleasure to the Supreme Lord. And in that way, the Vaishnava is desireless, and then there can be a peaceful harmony. If somebody is always wanting something for themselves deep down within, there's always going to be some type of disagreement. That's why the perfect marriage has spirituality in the center as the pinnacle foundation of the marriage. So you are with the wife to help her in her spiritual life, and the wife is with you so she can help you increase your devotion and spiritual life. And so this is how the Vaishnava lives. And we can also learn from snakes, actually. Snakes are actually considered to be very negative, very hideous, very poisonous, but we can learn from them as well, because a snake never builds his own home. He's always using the property of others. And the Vaishnava does not go through unnecessary endeavors and pains in this world, creating skyscrapers and buildings, etc., but uses these things for the preaching of Krishna consciousness. And this all is coming from the Supreme. Lord Krishna himself expands as Lord Narayan, who expands then as three types of Vishnus: Garndakshay Vishnu, Garbhadakshay Vishnu, and Shirodakshay Vishnu. And it is explained that the Lord produces the cosmic manifestation, and then with his breathing it goes back into him. And we can actually learn this from the spider, that a spider produces web from its mouth. Then the spider plays in the web for some time, and then he swallows it up again. So the Lord produces this cosmic world, he plays in it for some time, and then he swallows it back up. So this is how we can understand the nature of this world, that we are put here for a certain purpose. And many of us waste so much significant time trying to prove to each other how great we are. But in those times when we're trying to prove to each other how great we are, we could even use those times in actually getting better. Rather than proving, we should be improving ourselves constantly. And rather than trying to escape this world, we should cape this world. We should become heroes of this world and try to help this world. That is when you have a true S on your chest, because you become a hero for service. You're Superman, you can be Serviceman or Seva Man. That actually sounds really cool. Someone needs to make that toy, Seva Man. Actually, I'm the toy maker. Maybe I should do something like that. And so with nature comes so much understanding, so many teachings. Even when a tree is dying, before the tree dies, it already produces the seed for the future tree. So a dying body produces the seed for the future body in the form of karma. Whatever it is that we're engrossed in, what we think about, what we meditate about, that is a seed that's going to then fructify as our future body. And therefore it is extremely important that we purify ourselves as much as possible, give it proper nourishment, so we can grow our tree back to the spiritual planets. The senses are always constantly pulling us in different directions. It's actually a form of harassment, the way the senses pull the living entity. The tongue always wants to taste tasty food. The thirst wants suitable drinks. The sex organs want satisfaction. The sense of touch wants soft objects. The belly always wants to be filled up. The ears want pleasing sounds. The sense of smell wants pleasing aromas. The eyes wants pleasing sights. And the only solution to all this, because we're being dragged left and right, up and down, inside and out, is simple living and higher thinking. It's simply simple living and higher thinking. And that is what our teachers have given us, that by following this principle, we can escape so many anxieties of this world, and we can eventually transform ourselves back to the place of no anxiety by Kunta. This material cosmic manifestation is known as Kunta, a place of anxieties. And this world is built crooked. You can't make it straight, just like you can't make a prison into a hotel. It's always going to be a prison. So we should understand the nature of this world. It's actually stated that the Supreme Personality of Godhead created many species to house the conditioned souls. He created trees, reptiles, animals, and birds, but he was not satisfied. Then he created the human being so they can inquire about the absolute truth. And then God was pleased that now they can come back to me. That's actually mentioned in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is how we can progress and understand our life at a higher level of consciousness. And we can see reality from illusion. Just like when we go to sleep at night and we dream, there's so many objects that we dream about, but ultimately they're useless because they're mere creations of the mind. In the same way, if we sleep to our true spiritual identity, then we see so many material objects. And if we become engaged in these material objects, actually they're ultimately useless. But if we can use them for a higher purpose, then we are truly elevating our consciousness to a higher state. And by spreading different sound vibrations, we can truly purify the atmosphere. There's actually a YouTube channel called Hare Krishna in the Movies. And to date, it has 17,000 subscribers and over 5 million views. A devotee is finding scenes in movies and television where they're chanting Hare Krishna, or there's Hare Krishna's mentioned. And he has so many videos now compiled up that the total view count of just this channel is 5 million views. And what to speak of those people who actually saw that movie in theaters or on television. So the holy name has gone around actually to every town and village. And people are becoming purified whether they like it or not. So it's quite wonderful that if we just have firm faith and belief that this Hare Krishna mantra, that this movement, that this mission, that this adventure that we're on truly makes people venture from within and transform their lives, then we can do some great things in this world. Whenever I think of somebody that's great, he usually has the name Michael in his name. So you have Michael Jordan, you got Michael Jackson, you got Mike Tyson, and then you got Michael Kramer, Judah Karma Prabhu, who is doing great work to establish the Vedic authority through history, through archaeology. And then you got Michael Grant, Mukunda, who actually helped Srila Prabhupada in so many ways establish this Krishna consciousness movement, and we would be nowhere without Michael Grant, Mukunda Prabhu. So we have our own stars, and we should see them as true celebrities. We should celebrate them, and we should also strive ourselves to do great things in this world, not to be celebrated, but simply to give that celebration to Srila Prabhupada so he can be more celebrated. And in this way, although we're in the material realm right now, and there's a party going on in the spiritual realm, sometimes physical distance can bring mental closeness. If you're always with somebody, you're close with them, but mentally you can be far away from them. And sometimes you see that couples when they're close to each other all the time, there might be fight and bickering, but as soon as one has to go off on a business trip, it's gone for a few weeks. Although there's distance, but they're more closer than ever. So we've temporarily come here, and we're feeling separation from Krishna, but it's bringing us more mental closeness. And when we do finally unite with Krishna, it's going to be the most wonderful feeling, and we can live every day as a celebration and celebrate with the ultimate celebrity, Krishna himself. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.